In this video, we're going to go over our groin PAILs and rails, so our abductor, adductor strengthening and lengthening. This is one of the most important PAILs and rails we can do, both for creating some mobility in new positions, but also for protecting you as an athlete. The groin is one of the most common tweaks that guys get. It's one of those things that we don't really use in extended positions very often, so if we can strengthen it and lengthen it, we're going to do you a lot of benefit with not a ton of work going into it. So the first one we're going to go into is going to be our standing groin PAIL and rail. So you need a box. The height's not tremendously important. Just because the box is higher doesn't necessarily mean you're getting a better stretch right here. What's important is the positioning of my hips, my chest, and my opposite leg. So what I want to do is I want to find a box of an appropriate height that'll be challenging but usable. I want to bring my foot up to that box, and I want to have both of my toes pointed straight ahead towards the wall in front of me. And I want to bring my hips forward. I don't want to stick my butt out too far right now because that's just creating some compensation patterns. I like holding a dowel rod or a stick, something to maintain my balance, because we're going to be in this position for quite a while. And trying to maintain this the whole time just on the balance of this one leg is going to take away from your mental focus and your ability to really focus on extending and challenging this adductor right here. So what we're going to do is we're going to be here, and once you're in this position, you can walk this bottom foot out to increase the stretch, or you can walk it in to decrease the stretch. So I'm going to get in a nice strong position. I'm going to set my watch for 2 minutes, just like we do on our other PAILs and rails, and I'm going to walk this foot out slowly until I'm really challenging this groin. My hips are maintaining forward. I'm trying to keep a nice posture right here. I don't have to be too vertical, because then I just get into this abductor on the outside, start getting some cramp in the hip. That's not what I want. But I also don't want to go too far this way, because I do want to challenge the inside of this groin. So we're going to hold this for 2 minutes. As you hold this stretch, you're going to be able to stretch a little bit more. So probably about the 1 minute mark, the minute and 30 mark, you can start walking your feet out a little bit more. You can walk this foot up in the box a little bit more and get to where you're really in a kind of challenged, compromised position. Once I'm here for 2 minutes, then I'm going to start my PAIL contraction. I'm going to take my foot and I'm going to push down into the box and try to push the box into the floor. So we're going to grab onto our rod right here. I'm going to start my contraction. I'm going to go about 10% into the floor, into the box for about 10 seconds. I'm going to bump that up to 30 for 10 seconds. I'm going to bump it up to 50. And once I get to 70, I really want to lock every muscle in my body down and apply as much force as possible to the box. Then I want to do 10 seconds, full effort, pulling that groin down. Now, once I've done my PAIL contraction, now I want to get into my rail. So I want to use the muscles on the outside of the hip and try to pull my foot up off the box. But instead of really pulling the foot up, I want to pull my hips deeper and create more stretch. So I'm going to create that stretch, push into the stretch, 10%, 10 seconds, then go up to 30, then go up to 50, then go up to 70, and I'm going full effort trying to stretch the groin out more and more and more, actively pressing. And then, like every other PAIL rail we can do, you can stop right there, or you could get into more stretch, go passive for another 30 to 45 seconds and do another set of PAILs and rails all the way up to 3 sets. Now, if you don't have a box to get onto, or maybe we're in a group setting and this just isn't applicable, we can get down in a butterfly position. And if we get in this butterfly position, we can do the same thing. We can actually do both sides of the groin at once. Now, to get the stretch that I need, I've got to push into my hips with my elbow. So I want to relax all the tissue of my legs. I want to use my hands, go ahead and grip onto the ankle right here, maybe up higher in the shins if you need to. I want to push my elbow into the femur and start passively stretching. Again, we're going to hold this for 2 minutes. Same exact thing we do on every other PAIL and rail. 2 minutes pushing down, creating more stretch. And then at the end of that 2 minutes, we're going to do a PAIL. So we're going to push into our elbow. So this elbow's got us maintain that maximum stretch right there. You can't let that elbow move, but I'm going to push into it, 10%, 30%, all the way up to 100%, ramping that up to full effort. And I'm gonna pull my knees down towards the floor as hard as I can. Same thing, 10%, 30%, ramping it all the way up to 100%. Great drill for strengthening the groin. Great way to make sure that groin is prepped for movement in the weight room, movement on the field. If you're an athlete who really struggles with deep positions in the weight room, you struggle with just nagging groin injuries, I would do this every stinking day. I think this is one of the most important PAILs and rails we can do outside of hamstrings and outside your shoulders.